So rumor has it that you're a full-time plastic surgeon who very casually takes part in international level biking competitions. That's got to be untrue, right?
Well, it's actually true. I am a plastic surgeon, and of course, I try to always put my vacation so that I can combine my biking with going somewhere to nice places, and so that's why I'm here now.
But tell me something. Let's get the facts right. Being a plastic surgeon has to be a demanding job, and it's not that you're biking as a hobbyist. You're taking part in international level competitions all around the world, for Christ's sake. So how do you juggle both? How do you manage both?
Yeah, I mean, it's sometimes it's quite hard, and when people ask me, because people ask me quite often, I always have to say, well, of course you have to organize yourself well, because it's a tough job and you have so much responsibility. I work with patients who have like breast cancer and skin cancer mainly, so we do lots of reconstruction. It's a tough, it's like a serious thing. But at the same time, being able to combine my hobby, and I mean, of course, it's also more than a hobby because I really try to train hard for it. I have goals. But combining those two things, for me, it's the perfect combination, because I know it's so much strength for work, but then at the same time, I can dig out so much strength from work for my hobby. And I mean, it sounds a bit crazy, but when I talk with my patients and they're really sad, I try to share my happiness that I have outside on the bike or just doing any sports, and try to motivate them to look forward to going through therapy, and I think it kind of works. So in the end, it's a nice way of doing life. Of course, not always easy because, I train before work or I train after a shift or so, and sometimes I'm just tired. But I don't know. I think I'm just lucky that I have my family and my boyfriend to support me, because, of course, it's always hard. Like sometimes I'm just like, oh, no, I'm not sure if I should do this. So like now, I mean, I'm so happy to be here right now. But of course, it's okay. I can take my vacation and do lots of traveling. And traveling, I mean, I was so tired yesterday, but it's so worth it in the end. And it's always nice to get that security from home that, okay, so, we're thinking of you and wish you best of luck from all our hearts. So, so somehow I managed to combine it, but it's not always easy, but it's definitely worth it.
And both professions, the cycling on one hand and being a plastic surgeon on the other hand, they seem unrelated on paper, but it's beautiful how they complement each other, as you explained. So what did you get into first? Did your cycling career begin first, or was it plastic surgery?
So of course it started with just wanting to become a doctor, and I think that must have started early on. I was 3, 4 maybe. I always play, so I was at my grandparents' place quite often when I was little, and I think my poor grandma, she always had to play with me. So I would be a doctor and she would be a patient, being like, oh yeah, so my back hurts, or I have this migraine or whatever. She would have whatever, and then I'd be like, oh, let me think about it. I have these pills. And so that was so much fun for me. I was little, okay? And so then I just got more and more interested in the human body, how everything is working, and science in general. So I'm just fascinated by science, I don't know. And then I always knew I really wanted to be a doctor. I was always sporty. I always did something, lots of dancing, lots of ballet. I actually did 14 years of ballet, on tiptoes and stuff. So just during university, I started to get more into this endurance kind of sporty stuff. And so now I think, especially cycling is the best combination to a tough job in the hospital. But I guess medicine was first, and then sports was more like a hobby.
So do you find it challenging explaining to someone what exactly do you do? Because I'm pretty sure you must be getting the question, okay, so Naima, tell me, so what do you do? So what do you explain to them?
I think the cool thing is, I have a really cool dad. Like, I'm really close to my dad. I love him heaps, and he's a very creative person. So he's a musician, and he always taught me that, you know, you don't have to be just one type of person, or you don't have to just choose one side. There's way more to it. So if there's something you want to do, but then there's something else. So, I mean, you can always ask, why do you have to choose? Can't you just do both? And that's something I grew up with, I guess. And I know that sometimes you can't just say, yeah, I want to have it all, because you can't just have it all at all times. But you can always try to like see what's best for you. And so, I mean, if I explain it that way, that I'm okay, well, I do like this, but I don't want to just stick to one thing, then most people understand. And then if they actually like get to know me, they'll be like, okay, just let her do her thing, she'll be fine.
Let's go back to how you complement plastic surgery as well as cycling. Is it right to say that given the fact that plastic surgery is a demanding profession, of course, entails you spending lots of hours in the hospital, sometimes perhaps doing 24-hour shifts as well, the biking aspect acts as a stress buster for you?
Well, so speaking as a scientist, of course, every bit of stress is the same for the body. So it doesn't matter if you work and if you like have to think really hard, or if you have to be concentrated during a surgery, or if you do physical activity. It's all stress. So of course it's not always easy to find the balance with recovery, and that's something I have to work on too. So it's, you know, you have to find a balance. It's if you just know it's all stress, it's the first way of doing something against it. You just have to make sure that you're not too stressed overall with other things. If it makes you happy, because there's always a good stress and a bad stress, then it's okay. But you have to make sure to relax in between, especially like when you get really tired. Like sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, but I really want to do this training, or I really have to, because I'm just thinking it's in my head, like I have to do this training or this program or whatever. But then sometimes it's just way smarter to just say, well, relax, you've done good training the last couple of weeks, and it's not going to hurt you if you step back and just recover for a while longer than expected. Because in the end, if you get sick, or if something happens, it doesn't help you at all. So you just, sometimes you just have to be wise enough. And well, so I mean, I like this sometimes, but then I have my friends and family that tell me, so
And, you talked about good stress and bad stress, so I'm guessing it's fair to say that the stress, or the good stress, that doing both, that juggling both gives you, is a good price to pay for the sense of purpose and the happiness that you derive from both activities.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, sometimes if I think about my day and then okay, I have to do this and I have to do that, especially like now I actually had to do some Christmas stuff before I left, because I don't have much time when I come back before Christmas. So I'm like, yeah, I really have to order these photos and have to do this and that. But then if you actually manage it, it feels good, like a bit of a flow thing. And then, I got onto the plane. I'm like, okay, now I can relax because I've done everything. So it's, yeah.
What is it about biking, mountain biking, cycling that excites you the most? Is it the adrenaline rush that you experience? Would you call yourself an adrenaline junkie?
Not sure if I would call it myself. My mom definitely would, because she would just prefer to have me at home, The cool thing about cycling is it's so diverse, especially mountain biking. So, of course, you have the tough climbing, which we also have here on this course. But then you also have the descending. And so when it's technical, you have to, first you have to look, so kind of analyze the track. And then you have to think, okay, where do I want to go? So you have to find your line. And then the actual cool thing starts. So your brain has to kind of work on it. Okay, so how do I get across this technical section? And then how do I get my muscles to move the bike and keep my balance to actually do it? So I think it's such a nice combination to combine the brain work and the riding. It's a bit like a puzzle. I enjoy that quite a bit. But then, of course, I like road riding too. So I'm on this elite women's team in Germany, and we do like races nationally and also international races. And so, of course, the speed is quite nice, and you get more used to it when you do it more often. So then it's not as dangerous. And luckily, you're always racing with people that know how to handle their bikes, so it's all good. But yeah, sometimes it's quite nice to get the adrenaline kick.
And talking about Germany, which is where you hail from, how do you practice in Germany? I'm guessing it must be impossible to practice at this time of the year because everything's snow covered. So how do you typically practice? What does your practice schedule look like in Germany during the winters as well as during the summer months?
I have quite a few friends from overseas who are like, oh, I wouldn't be able to manage to train during winter because it's dark all the time. Like, I mean, of course, it's not dark all the time, but it's pretty dark most of the times in winter and cold. It's not super cold, like it's not snowy right now, but it's rainy cold. I prefer snowy cold, actually. So of course you have to layer up. So like a couple of jackets, long trousers and stuff. I do some training indoors as well because when you have like your program, your intervals, it's just easier to squeeze it into less time because I can't just go on out for like 3-4 hours each day. So I might just have like an hour or an hour and a half. So it's easier to do it indoors. Then I do some running during winter because if you do like endurance-based training, it's also just easier to do the running. You can just put on your shoes and just go for it. And so actually this winter, I picked up some swimming too, because I think it's really important to do some core work. So I also do go to the gym now and then. And I thought, okay, swimming, it's nice for your back. So might just give it a try. So it's so hard. Like they have to keep their breath underwater while doing sports. But I thought, okay, I'll just stick with it for the winter and see how it goes. Actually starts to be more fun. But yeah, I think it's also fun for everyone else to see me swimming. So I mean, of course, in summer it's easier to train outside because it's just warmer. We have some nice trails around. It's not super hilly, so you don't have long, steep climbs, but there are some nice trails. So going up and down is good practice too.
And let's focus on India now. So we'll shift attention from Germany to India. I believe it's your third time in India, right? You've been here before. Your first time in Kerala, of course. But since you've been here before, I think I can ask you this question. What is it about India that you enjoy the most? What do you like the most about this country?
That's really hard to put into words because, well, when I first came to India, my first time, I got this total shock. So I was so tired and dehydrated, and then the crazy driving in New Delhi and the long bus trips, it took forever, and I was just like, where do I have to go? So many people, all crowded. But it's like this easiness. Of course, it's all busy, but somehow it's relaxed at the same time. And then you have those magical colors everywhere. Just the dressing of the people is so nice. And then, look around, it's all green. It's this crazy green. And I don't know, it's magical. It's actually, they say it's incredible India, and it's so true. Everything is not super pretty, but it's so pure in itself. So that makes it beautiful again. And I was so happy that I was able to take my dad with me as well, because I really wanted to show him how pretty it is. And he enjoyed it heaps. So yeah, I know it's not my third time and definitely not my last.
That's beautiful. And the diversity as well, as you touched upon, you could have a place like a New Delhi, which is urban, hustling and bustling all the time, lots of traffic. But then out here in Kerala, you have this beautiful landscape of the Western Ghats in its natural beauty, for us to absorb.
Yeah.
And what do you do when you're not cycling, when you're not, working as a plastic surgeon, assuming that you do find the time to do something else?
Yeah. So of course, I have my family and friends to spend time with. And so because my dad's a musician, of course, I'm also into music. He taught me to play the guitar, and I also play the piano. This, I don't know, somehow like linking right and left hands together is like a fun thing for me. And then I also do some singing, so I try to do it as much as I can. But yeah, of course, sometimes there's just not much or not enough time. But it's also a nice way of, being creative and also relaxing at the same time. So it's also, it's a nice third party with the work and cycling.
And what are you looking forward to at this mountain biking tournament?
Yes, I mean, I had a look at the course already, so it's quite challenging. So it has like one long climb and then a long descent. I'm excited to see the other girls. So I met this girl from Nepal, which is really nice. She's also staying in my hotel. And so I'm looking forward just to compete with all the girls. And also maybe, I'd love to share some experience just with the national riders. It's crazy. So I met some friends who I've seen before also in India, so it's really cool. So I'm just really excited to have this weekend here and just see where it goes, and just try to soak everything up.
Naima, I asked you about how exactly you're successful on the cycling tracks, how you juggle both plastic surgery as well as cycling. Another how question: how do you have such beautiful eyes?
Oh, well, that's probably thanks to my parents. Can't complain about that.
Lovely. Look, I'm extremely glad that we had this chat. Very conversational, very organic. One of the most enjoyable chats for me personally. And I'm most glad about the fact that you mentioned that, this is your third time in India, but definitely not the last time. So I'm pretty sure we'll have lots of chats in the future as well. And our paths will cross again. Naima, best of luck for this international level competition, and all the very best for all your plastic surgery, your cycling endeavors, and all your other personal and professional endeavors in the future. Thank you so much for speaking with One Place Sports.
Hi, this is Naima. I'm a bike rider from Germany, and I'm so happy to be here in this beautiful country racing MTB Kerala. And you better go and watch some serious mountain biking on One Place Sports.